All right. Good morning, everyone. Hope you are doing well. I'm Guy Gaster, Director of the North Carolina Film Office here at Visit NC, and so excited to be joining you, but even more excited to introduce two ladies that are going to talk about some services that their departments or organizations offer that we think might be of value for you to know about and be able to share with your local partners so that they know where to find some assistance and some of those tools that are also available to them. So joining us today is Holly Yanker. She's with the Small Business Advisors, part of the Economic Development Partnership of North Carolina. And then we've got Lynn Minges with the North Carolina Restaurant and Lodging Association. Welcome, ladies. So happy to have you both here. We will get started with Holly to talk about the Small Business Advisors. But before I turn it over to Holly, just a reminder, this is being recorded. If you're not able to join the entire time or have a colleague you want to share this with, you'll be able to find the recording on our YouTube page, the North Carolina Tourism Industry page, or via partners.visitnc.com. So as I mentioned, first up is Holly to talk about the small business advisors. It's all yours, Holly.
Thank you very much, Guy. And it's a pleasure to be here with Lynn and with all of you. Basically, just want to share with you that the Small Business Advisor team, you may have known us in the past that our name had been Business Link North Carolina, or Blink, as some people refer to. And what we do, we're the same group that we help people start businesses or expand. We focus in on the rules and the regulations. And what I want to do is just give you a quick overview of our group and why we exist, and then some different resources that can be helpful for you or for any of your colleagues, friends that are interested in potentially starting a business. So who are we? As I mentioned, that we've actually been around for a while, for over 30 years that our group has existed. We've had some different names, from Business Licensing Office to Business Information Office to Business Link, as I mentioned already. And now our new and improved name is just that we are Small Business Advisors, and we are a free service, and we are here to help you. It's myself, and I have 4 other colleagues, and that we help you with wherever your business is located throughout the state. Our role is not as an attorney or not as an accountant or anything of that nature. We are definitely educators, and our goal is to help you to get through the process that much easier in terms of starting your business. On average, that we deal with about 23,000 different client interactions. So you call us up, you have 2 different businesses, that would be 2 different interactions. And the majority of what we do is 72% is working with startups. So again, we're here to try to make the process a little bit easier and smoother. And we do try to provide outstanding customer service, because your success is the success for the overall state. And that's what we're most interested in, is it doesn't help anyone if you're not successful. And how can we help you? That we go through the basic steps, what's involved in terms of registering a business name, whether you want to be a sole proprietor or an LLC. We're going to help you with, in general, about getting a federal tax ID number, and North Carolina sales and use tax ID number. We're going to help you with the local rules and regulations. North Carolina, that we have over 950 different rules and regulations. Good news is you don't need to worry about all those, because that's what we do, is we try and stay on top of that information to help you and to know the right questions to ask. And in North Carolina, it's interesting because people always say, hey, do you have a business license? And that's one of those interesting vocabulary things, that we do not have a one size fits all business license. We have licenses that pertain to occupations, to the environment, to making sure that people are going to remain safe. So anyway, we can help you through all of that part. And what I want to do now is just quickly go through and share some general resources with you. Again, we have an 800 number, and I'll list that at the end as well. But we work with the Small Business Center Network. So each of the community colleges have a small business, they have a small business center. And so the ideal goal is that you're within 20 minutes of any place of being able to have one-on-one counseling. NC Bold, this is the statewide North Carolina Business and Occupational Licensing Database. So again, it's ncbold.com, because it is a combination of state and nonprofit funding that comes together. So that's why it's a .com. We are the North Carolina Small Business Advisors, and we have lots of great resources available for you. The SBA.gov, which is the federal government Small Business Administration, that they have all kinds of outstanding resources. And SCORE. SCORE is a national program that offers one-on-one business counseling. These are normally people that have been in business and that they want to give back, and so that they can really help you in your area of expertise and with their knowledge. Again, our 800 number, that's the best way to reach us. You can certainly email us or go to our website, but it's 800-228-8443. Again, 800-228-8443. Y también nosotros podríamos hablar en español si hay alguien que quiere iniciar un negocio. So if you know someone that wants to start a business, has some questions, if we don't know the answers, we're all about researching and providing you with a resource that can further assist you. And thank you very much, Guy. And if anyone has any questions at this time, great. If not, I look forward to listening and learning more about the Restaurant and Lodging Association.
That's great, Holly. And I did forget to mention, if you have any questions, feel free to put those in the question and answer tab here on the webinar. One of the ones that did come through, Holly, that I noticed was you mentioned the 800 number. What is the best time to call? I know you and your team try and obviously be available for everyone, but is there a time that you get the least amount of calls, or a preferred time to call in?
Great question. It always works well. The live assistance starts at 8:30 a.m. Monday through Friday until 4 p.m. Lunchtime is a very popular time to call, but morning or evening or later in the afternoon is great. And you can always leave a message and we will get back in touch with you. So we definitely look forward to helping out everyone as quickly as possible.
Great. One other question that came in, could you give some examples of some tourism related businesses that maybe have used the service or that you and your fellow advisors have assisted?
Absolutely. We've had everything from the NASCAR museum that got started. They contacted us and asked for assistance of how to get the museum up and running. We help out lots of Airbnb locations. restaurants, small restaurants, catering, and different hotel chains that we help out as well. So any small business that provides services, ecotourism, we've helped out several businesses. Agritourism certainly has become more and more popular. So you name it, we're ready to help you to make money and hopefully help out other North Carolinians.
All right. And one last question for you. And the great news is Holly's going to be around through the webinar. So if you didn't get your questions in this round, we can certainly get them at the end. But what is one small service, or not small, but what's a service that you all offer that most people probably don't realize, or that you wish more people took advantage of?
Another outstanding question. So we help with how do you go about completing the paperwork? We do not complete the paperwork for you, but we can certainly help you. A lot of times people want to know, hey, what's the best business structure? I can't say, oh, you definitely need to do X or Y, but I can give you some different resources and comparison and contrast, which would ever make sense for you and based on your liabilities, assets, and whatnot. We want each business owner to be fully protected so that you can do the best job you can for your customers.
Excellent. Excellent. Well, again, Holly, really appreciate this introduction, and Holly will be around. If there are other questions, feel free to put those in the Q&A chat. I am now happy to have Lynn Minges joining us once again. And she is here to share a little more about the Restaurant and Lodging Association, something I think most of us are familiar with, but also some new initiatives that they're looking to do that are helping their members and thereby your partners. Lynn, it's all yours.
All right. Well, thank you so much, Guy. And Holly, thanks for all you and the team do. Great hearing your presentation and update, and appreciate the work that you're doing to support many tourism and hospitality businesses. Great to see so many of you all today. Just before I start, Guy, you can see my screen, right?
Yes, ma'am. We are good.
Good. That's always your heart holds there just to make sure that it's going to all work safely. But anyway, I just wanted to share with you a little bit about NCRLA and who we are. Let me get rid of that. This right here, because you don't need to see that. Okay. NCRLA represents restaurants and hotels across the state. Obviously, not all of those are members of our association. They don't all necessarily pay us dues, but we do indeed represent and work for about 20,000 food service establishments across the state and about 2,000 lodging establishments across the state. Goodness, let's see why I'm not getting advanced. I want to give you a little bit of an update about the status of the hospitality industry. You all know that during COVID, our industry was impacted very significantly, and we've been tracking the recovery of this industry month over month as compared to pre-pandemic levels. So you'll see that we're also tracking other industries because they've done quite well during COVID. But you'll notice that restaurants in July had sales of about $2 billion. Pre-COVID, July 19, they had about $1.7 billion. So they're up about 17%. That's really good news for restaurants. Their business is coming back. But if we look at the cumulative sales from the beginning of COVID, you will see that they are still down fairly significantly, about 264 million. That number is getting better and better, but they're still coming out of a position of debt. Many of them took on significant amounts of debt during COVID, and they're still struggling. We'll talk about that in a bit. We track taverns, they're up 29%, and they are again in the black. And hotel revenue is coming in about 42% over pre-pandemic levels. And they're doing well. They've kind of come out of the COVID recovery. But it's interesting to look at all other industries and how well they're doing in comparison. They've seen month over month growth, and many of those saw really strong growth even during COVID. No surprise to many of you all, our employment numbers are not back from where they were. So you'll see a big drop off there. We lost about half of our employees in March of 2020. We've been slowly rebuilding with some bumps along the way, but we're still not nearly where we were in pre-COVID levels. Today, our industry, looking at food service and drinking places and accommodations, combined, we're down about 6,300 jobs still. And I think that's really interesting to note because we've added restaurants, we've added hotels, just incremental business growth would mean that you need significantly more employees than we had pre-pandemic. So the 6,300 number is a bit of a anomaly because we need many more workers than that. And that remains the number one challenge of businesses across the state. No surprise to you all, you track these numbers exceptionally well, as does Marlise Taylor and the team at Visit NC. But occupancy rate demand is still off pace from pre-pandemic levels, though ADR and RevPAR are high. That's largely because hoteliers are able to charge more for the rooms. People are willing to pay those fees. And so revenues are coming in, but we still don't have nearly the demand that we had pre-pandemic levels. And we need that to fully recover from COVID. When we talk to business owners around the state, and this is from a survey that was conducted in North Carolina in September, we did in partnership with the National Restaurant Association. Restaurateurs are still very pessimistic. The economy is growing, their businesses are, seem to be picking up, as we saw from the sales revenue, but their business conditions are worse now than they were even 3 months ago. They're getting worse. 46% think that it will be a year or more before businesses return to normal. And, mostly restaurateurs are positive people. I talk with people who are normally happy, upbeat people, but there is quite a bit of pessimism out there. They are much less profitable than they were in 2019. 92% of them said that they were less profitable. So let's take a look at that. The reasons that they are not profitable is, their costs have grown incrementally, labor cost and benefits that they're offering employees, good for the employees, but the cost of doing business has grown significantly. They're paying higher utilities and operating cost. The cost of food and beverage is significantly higher than it was pre-pandemic. So those are some of the many, many challenges that they're facing. And again, they're facing those higher operating costs, and they're feeling pressure not to increase menu costs proportionately. They're not as profitable. And keep in mind, they've taken on debt during COVID. Many of them took out PPP loans, EDL loans that are now coming due, economic injury recovery loans. And so many of those are having to be repaid now. And so they're feeling a whole lot of pressure. Some have increased menu prices or changed their menus. You'll notice limited menus. They're reducing hours of operation. They're closing for a few days a week where they didn't before. And they're doing all kinds of things just to get by. But it is tough for most restaurateurs out there these days. I'm happy to take any questions you all may have at the conclusion about this, but they're struggling. They're really struggling right now. We did several things to help the industry. You all were very much a part of the Count on Me initiative, an initiative that's gotten, national acclaim. Visit NC won a big award for that, for your partnership and your participation in that. We also created a very successful worker relief fund we're proud of, and we help businesses navigate all the various restrictions, capacity restrictions, closures, and changes in protocol during COVID. But one of the things we're proudest of is that in addition to working federally on relief for restaurants and hotels, we were able to get past the largest recovery initiative for hospitality businesses in our nation. No other state in the nation has done anything like this. And we were able to get a $500 million grant program to assist, and when it was first announced, to assist restaurants and hotels and bars, tourist attractions that suffered during COVID. So how has that worked? During the first phase of the grant initiative, it was literally primarily limited to restaurants, hotels, and tourism, hospitality related businesses. During that phase one, which was last spring, about $300 million went out to 3,400 businesses across North Carolina. Those funds, that was really all that we asked for. NCRLA, we concepted and created this whole business plan. Legislators wanted to expand it so that other small businesses could benefit. And so during phase two, other businesses were able to take advantage of the business recovery program. And in addition, some other restaurants and hotels that didn't apply for and receive funding first time around were able to get some funds. And so just last week, checks have gone out in the mail, or notifications if businesses didn't get checks in the amount of $200 million. Those went to 3,931 businesses across North Carolina. So really proud that we were able to help compensate the restaurants, hotels, and other sorts of hospitality related establishments to cover 10% of their losses during COVID. If they sustain losses, they got a check from the government, no questions asked, for 10% of their losses. So really proud of that effort. A couple of things I want to tell you about now that we're working on, and some of you all are familiar with this program, some may not be, and happy to keep you informed as we go through this process. But again, we just applied for every sort of relief effort we could possibly bring to bear to North Carolina hospitality businesses during COVID. And we got two sources of new funding. These are federal dollars. One was a $5 million allocation of ARPA funds that is being administered by the North Carolina Restaurant and Lodging Association, and it's designed to recruit workers back to the industry. I'll tell you a little bit about our work around that right now. And then the second initiative is a training contract that our foundation has signed in partnership with the North Carolina Department of Commerce. That is a part of the Economic Development Administration's recovery program for tourism and outdoor recreation facilities. There are a number of partners in that initiative, but we're proud to be a partner offering $1.1 million of training to the industry. And we'll talk about that in a moment. So those are the two programs that we're currently launching. In effort to make sure that we are meeting the needs of business owners and operators and our industry, we have a task force that's sort of overseeing this work. You'll see several of the members there, including a familiar face, Denny Edwards with the Greater Raleigh CBB. But we're working very closely with this task force who's overseeing our recruitment efforts. I want to talk first about the $5 million recruitment campaign and where we are with that. The program is designed to have three components. So the first phase is research. We're in the midst of that research phase right now. One of the things I learned during my time with Visit NC is do lots of research, hear from your stakeholders, learn a lot about the audience you're trying to reach, learn about your value proposition, and then target your messages to speak to that audience and to move the needle. So we're right now in that very important research phase. Expect that to run through November. And then in November, December timeframe should begin the messaging and campaign development part of the initiative. And then early in 2023 to execute a very robust recruitment campaign to promote and attract new workers to our industry. The first phase of the research was focused on employers. We wanted to hear from business owners about the challenges they were having recruiting and retaining workers. We had to put this out for bid, again, federal dollars. We've got to cast a wide net. We interviewed lots of potential providers to help facilitate town halls around the state with business owners and operators. And ultimately, no surprise, we were able to hire Shelley Green and Yvonne Coleman, who are now in partnership. And they conducted facilitated sessions for us across the state. Primary target for this were restaurateurs, hoteliers, other tourism related owners and operators. I know some of you all were able to sit in on those sessions. We held 9 sessions across the state, trying to hear from a very diverse audience of employers, and some of their challenges. There you see some of the roundtables and work sessions. They were about 2 hours in length, each of those sessions. And I now have a report on my desk from those sessions that will be shared with the recruitment task force next week. And then we'll be sharing that publicly, hopefully the end of October, early November, sharing that with you all. And that's literally what employers are telling us their challenges are, why they're not keeping employees, where those employees are going, what they've done to adjust their business models. And then we're now embarking on phase 2 of the research, and that is where we target employees of the industry. So current employees, former employees, those that worked in the industry and they're now leaving, they're working somewhere else. And also maybe some potential employees. We're going to be hosting in a similar way these focus groups around the state. This group is a little harder for us to be involved with because we want real honest answers from these employees. So we will allow these folks that we've hired to go out and do these sessions. There'll be a combination of virtual, online, and in-person regional sessions where they have some pretty candid conversation with employees to find out what they like, what they don't like, how long they see themselves in the industry, things they would change if they could, how we could be better employers. I also want to hear from people who've left the industry, why they left, if they would consider coming back, what they like, what they didn't like about the industry, what prompted them to leave, those sorts of things. So we've hired a firm, again, very competitive bid process from a number of providers. But we selected Chris Sinclair and Anna Roberts with Sinclair Public Affairs. They do a lot of work kind of in this space with public opinion research, public policy. And then also Fallon Research, actually a firm out of Ohio, but they have partnered with Sinclair. They do a lot, again, of public opinion, the research component of it. So they will be facilitating the sessions in a very scientific sort of way and coming back with a report about what those employees and former employees say about our industry and what might keep them involved. So again, just to wrap up, we're in the research phase of the recruitment campaign. This is the $5 million campaign. Hearing from business owners, that's been completed, and we expect the report to be available publicly early November. Our task force will actually hear it presented next week, and we'll make any refinements to that we need. We'll then begin the focus groups with the employees, and that will run October 25th through November 3rd. Messaging campaign development will begin immediately following those two research reports. So Q4 of 2022, and then we'll begin executing the campaign in earnest in 2023. The other program that we're administering is a training program, and there we received $1.1 million, and that was, again, a contract through the Department of Commerce. And in that program, we will offer free training courses and certification programs to a number of people. These are existing training programs. We have not created anything new or different. They are training and certifications that are currently available through the National Restaurant Association and the American Hotel and Lodging Association. Again, they're the premier providers of training specifically for restaurants and hoteliers. The target audiences for those trainings will be current career and technical education programs, students and teachers across North Carolina. So high schools, anybody interested in training and certifying students at that level. We'll be working with post-secondary education programs, so existing community college programs or universities and colleges around the state who may already be teaching culinary hospitality, but aren't necessarily offering the credentials and the certifications that will make those employees better prepared, and they'll have certifications that are nationally and internationally recognized. Then we'll be focused on entry, new employees, and re-entry, employees who may have left or coming back, but also focused a lot working with folks who are looking for second chances, formerly incarcerated, formerly substance abusers, or homeless folks, really reaching out to some of those community-based programs that work closely with those audiences and trying to help prepare them for careers in the industry. And then obviously professional advancement, really targeting current employees who may be a cook in a restaurant today, but they want to take some certifications so that they can become a restaurant manager or a chef themselves, or those kinds of things. So helping people to move up through the career ladders. We're in the process right now of building out a website that will house this training. All the training programs will be available online. They're designed for folks to be able to download those trainings, take them free of charge. They'll give us some information that we have to report back to the government about who we're training. Once they give us that information, they'll be given a code. They download the programs. These range anywhere from, $25 type programs and certifications on up to, $8,000, $9,000, $1,000 in value programs that people would have to pay to get. Here you see just a short listing of some of those credentials and trainings that are available. We have a budget for just the training portion of about $700,000. So looking forward to delivering that free training across the state. Again, I've gone through the timing a bit, but we expect to launch this training website within a matter of days. We've been working hard on it. Then began actively promoting and communicating the opportunity to take these training courses to the key audiences. So there'll be some marketing messaging around that, visits to schools with teachers, community college partners. And then over the course of the next 24 months, we will deliver, we expect, about $700,000 in actual training courses. So that really concludes my presentation about some of the work we're currently involved in, and happy to take any questions from the audience if there are any.
Thank you, Lynn. We did have one come in, and it was if a partner knows of someone that's interested in doing one of the training courses, who should they, how should they, where should they direct them? Sorry. Yes.
Okay.
How can they get more information?
Okay, so we, with the federal government, you can't really start work on a project until you sign a contract and they give you money. Other than that, you're kind of violating the spirit of the law. So we literally signed this contract and got the green light to begin this training work 2 weeks ago. Amazingly, we have been doing some work behind the scenes and expect to have the website up by the end of October. So in just, another 2 weeks, probably the website will be live. Once that's live, we'll be sharing that with Visit NC. We'll be publicly inviting people to come to the website to take the training. You all will have that link to information. And so yeah, really all you'll do is just give them the website. They go there and they can search for the training. It will be easily searchable. So if you're a new employee, if you're a current employee, if you're looking for restaurant training at the entry level, management level, supervisory level, you'll be able to find that there. So if you can just be patient for like a couple of weeks, it should be live and available. We'll share that with Visit NC and hopefully you'll push that out to partners. I do think there's a huge role for CVB folks, TDA folks across the state to help us let people know that this training is available. And there are a number of things in this training program that would be great that go beyond people who work just in restaurants and hotels. Guest Service Gold is probably one of the premier customer service training programs in the nation. Many CVBs have bought and paid for that and offered that to frontline employees just because it talks about, soft skills that are an important part of customer service. So I think that would be a great course for you all to promote to frontline employees. There are things like unconscious bias that helps us to overcome, any kind of bias that may be a part of hiring or working in a workplace. There's sexual harassment training that provides businesses a great way to have their employees take those sort of courses so they don't have to deal with those kinds of complaints in the workplace. So, just a whole lot of training is going to be available for a pretty wide audience.
So you kind of just touched on this, but the second question we had was, are these programs open to non-restaurant or non-lodging entities like a museum or an amusement park or that sort of thing?
Absolutely. And we encourage you to take them. I mean, our mission now is going to be to try to deliver all this training. So, we will have done a good day's work in 24 months when we, deliver this much training. It's going to be a big lift for us to try to let people know that this is available. So we encourage anybody to take it. And, targets would be, maybe you're working at a Publix grocery store, but you've always thought you might be interested in working in the hospitality industry. We hope to be able to reach some of those people and say, wow, maybe you like working in the grocery store, but you could be a front desk manager or you work at a front desk of a hotel and all it's going to take you is maybe, 4 hours of training and you've got a certification. You can walk in and get a great job. So that's really the opportunity. But yes, museums, anybody in customer service, frontline, supervisor training, there are going to be about 70 courses available. So it really runs the gamut from breakfast attendant to housekeeper to certified general manager training for a hotel. So anybody who's ever aspired to be a general manager of a hotel ought to be able to take that training and get a good job.
Okay. Wow. That sounds amazing. So that's a huge feather in the cap. Is it now my own personal question, is it first come, first serve, or are you guys going to kind of, I don't want to say weigh importance. Yeah.
It is first come, first serve. I think there's going to be plenty of opportunity. And $700,000 worth of training is a lot of training. And we expect it, we don't expect it to fly off the shelves overnight. So I don't think there's going to be any pressure to, obviously we want people to go ahead and start taking it, but it's a pretty significant investment that the federal government's making in training workers here in North Carolina. We are the only state in the nation that I'm aware of that has anything like this. So it's really, a great opportunity of courses that people would normally have to pay for, business owners or individuals. But yes, it's first come, first serve, and anybody can take this training, at home in the privacy of their homes. Business owners can offer it in the workplace. It could be somebody who's never worked in the industry, but is considered. It could be a teacher who wants to work in the industry over the summer months. That's really what it's designed to do, is just kind of broaden the understanding of the many career opportunities that are available in our industry.
Absolutely wonderful. And certainly, I know many of our partners receive your correspondence from NCRLA, but we'd be happy to share it as well in NewsLink once the site goes live and you're ready to start accepting applicants, if you will.
Yes, absolutely. And it's quick. I mean, once you go online and you sign up to take one of the courses, there is just like a quick approval process. And literally that would be less than, it depends on what time of day it comes in. Somebody will review it just to make sure you're a North Carolina resident and, that you did fill out the information completely, because we have to report this back. We'll be reporting back demographic information, whether we're training, more current employees who are enhancing skills, or whether these are students we're training. There's what counties we're reaching folks in. So we've got some accountability on the back end, but literally when somebody goes online and applies to take one of these courses, it should be a matter of, hours, and then you get the link to take the live course.
Okay.
Pretty quick.
Great. Holly, we had another question come in for you. And it was, are your services available for current business owners as well? There was a lot of talk about starting a business, but do you offer the same or similar services for current business owners?
Absolutely. And for existing businesses, yes, that if you're interested potentially in funding opportunities that might be available, if you are interested in certification programs. So we try to focus on different ways that people can expand their existing business. And then we will involve, if you're interested in exporting, we have colleagues within the Economic Development Partnership that we can connect you with. So absolutely, services are for any and all types of businesses that are in North Carolina.
Okay, great. Lynn, any last words from you that you want to share with our partners other than get excited, but hold off just a few more weeks?
No, that's about it. We just appreciate the partnership and the great work that you all have done during COVID, helping business owners and operators navigate, but also helping reassure, customers to come back, that we're open and safe. And we've survived this really well, I think, in North Carolina generally, and businesses coming back. But, it's just important that we're patient and understanding of business owners, because they're still struggling. We've got hotels that are taking rooms out of inventory. We have hotels that are clearly still missing transient business travel. So those numbers are down. So we don't need to get lulled into a false sense of security because, the sales numbers are looking stronger. They're still really struggling. They've taken on a lot of debt. I'm actually seeing more restaurants closed today in North Carolina than I have at any point during COVID. So in the last 6 months, more closures than we had at any point in time.
Okay.
So be
We
patient.
had a great question come in here towards the end, and that's, we have several partners that are on border counties, if you will. So they do have members of their workforce that work in North Carolina, but unfortunately may be residents of Tennessee or Virginia, South Carolina. Is there any chance that those residents that do work in the state might be able to take advantage of the program that you're going to offer, Lynn?
Sure. And that's a great point. We'll just make sure that in the, as we set up the website and gather the information, that there's a way to capture that you
Okay.
are, maybe click a box to indicate that you're interested in working in a North Carolina business. That's a great question. Great point for us to take into consideration. Yeah. The overarching goal is to get workers to fuel our businesses.
Sure. Great. All right. Going to give one last minute. If you were typing, get that question in. No. All right, everyone. Well, we appreciate you joining us. Don't miss next month, November 10th. We'll have some of our friends to talk about the upcoming Year of the Trail and some other initiatives from the North Carolina Department of Natural and Cultural Resources. Again, that'll be November 10th. Otherwise, thank you, Lynn. Thank you, Holly. And thank you to all those that joined us today. We look forward to working with you again soon. And again, feel free to let anyone know that didn't get to see this, or if you want to go back and play it again, you can find it at partners.visitnc.com. Have a great day, everyone.
Thanks.